I will explore this from the neoclassical perspective. Economic globalization has evolved rapidly in the 21st century, with the adverse impact felt more in the industrialized countries. And of the several narratives that have emerged about the impact of globalization, you find that the increasingly inequitable distribution of the gains from trade is one of the most researched topics. Folks like Paul Krugman has written extensively on how previous models, failed the discipline. And the social backlash from this has resulted in the rise of nationalism and protectionist policies. But then technological progress continues to foster deeper market integration. So these have obviously produced two different narratives of globalization and has led to the curiosity on which narrative is true. Of course, the answer depends on the assumptions underlying the coherent system of ideas, in economic science. So those models and parameters, such simultaneous rise of economic nationalism and the digital integration that we have seen, they introduce different complexities and pitfalls in evidence-informed policy formulation. And this further amplifies the view that the link between trade and inequality is a complex web of interrelationships that needs to be disentangled before any meaningful conclusions can be drawn. With what we have seen in the innovation discourse, the evolution from its purely scientific and technical focus to new business models, you see that even in the current environment with the COVID-19 pandemic, major shocks, have been unleashed on economic systems. And all of these economic systems are being redesigned everywhere across the globe. Let's look at trade. Let's go back to trade. We said the role of international trade in the determination of long-run growth is well documented. And a substantial and growing literature on that aspect, continues to focus on the distributional implications. And traditional trade theories like the Heckscher-Ohlin factor price equalization theorem explains how free trade often results in the equalization of factor prices under key assumptions like similar production patterns, technology and perfectly competitive markets. So in theory, this means that free trade raises aggregate welfare by equalizing wages and rents globally. But hey, in reality, we know that is far from it. Winners and losers are often created in the process. A 2018 study by Oxfam concludes that 82% of the increase in global wealth in 2017 accrued to the top 1%, leaving the bottom 50% with no increase at all. Now think about that. Think about that for a second. So globalization and technological progress have been largely blamed for much of the inequality witnessed in the last 3 decades. And the rapid pace of trade globalization and income inequality, have far-reaching impact on economics and societies with huge social cost of adjustments. And then you also look at economic convergence, technology, institutions, how those will continue to drive and sustain globalization. And given the trends that we've seen in technological innovations, demographics, and geopolitics, many pragmatic policy interventions that can help to fix the structural barriers to social and economic mobility need to be revisited. I mean, for instance, while the debate on socioeconomic inequality has traditionally focused on national trends and central governments and federal governments, you find that increasingly regions, cities, and local communities are often in a better position to address the needs of vulnerable populations, low-income neighborhoods. So to me, it appears that there is a distinction. And this again is where economics can help us to provide a framework to address the gaps and the missing middle. I hope that does justice to that question. Let me leave it at that.